And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we are working on the railroad. That's right, we're going to be connecting some cities with our rails. We're going to be riding our locomotives all the way to different cities. We're looking at a game that has some pick up and deliver aspects to it. It's called Spike from R&R Games. It's a train game for 2 to 4 players. Plays in about 60 minutes. It's definitely more complex than Ticket to Ride. So let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. In Spike, you are trying to connect rails to different cities to open up different commodities to earn you some money on a fluctuating market, and you're also trying to pick up and deliver goods to certain spots, all while trying to maybe possibly keep a route. And it's played over 3 rounds, and the one who has the most money at the end is the winner. Let's talk about how a turn works and how things get started. Everyone gets a cool little train that they put together. That is at the beginning of the game of their color. I'm green. We'll get over the details of this later, but this allows me to move 1 because there's 1 arrow. This allows me to hold 1 type of thing of cargo at a time. And this allows me to draw 2 cards of rail cards at a time. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Now there's 12 unique items, commodities that will be delivered. And there's multiple cards of each of those, but each commodity is only going to have 1 card in the game for all the players. So depending on the amount of players will depend on how many of these cards you get at the beginning of the game. But I'm going to have cattle here, which means nobody else can have cattle because there's only 1 of these cards per game for all 12 commodities. Now, these are pretty much the pick up and deliver aspects of the game. We also have a route card. So let's look at these two in more detail. So for instance, if I pick up cattle and deliver it to Green Bay, I'd get $5. If I deliver all the way to Norfolk, I'll get $11. Once I have delivered cattle, I cannot deliver that again. I also cannot deliver in that same city with any of my other things again as well. Now the route card also shows that if I connect my rails, if I go from Madison, and if I get all the way to Montpelier at the end of the game, I'll get $7. This is a hidden goal. Nobody else can see this. If I pass through any of these other cities, so you get the amount of points of the furthest city down that you connected to from Madison. If I went all the way at 7. And it's $1 for every other city before that I connected through. Harrisburg, if that was the furthest I went, I would get $5 at the end of the game. If I only went through one of these cities, I would get $1 more. $1 per city that you go through, and the face value for the 1. So that's kind of a route that you're also trying to get hidden objective during the game. So how does a turn work? Well, I've done a couple of turns here just to show you how things get going. First of all, you get a free train movement if he's on the rails. If he's in the city, you wouldn't get that, but if he's in the rails, you get 1 free train movement right away for free at the beginning of every turn. And at the beginning of the game, as I mentioned, we only move 1 because there's 1 arrow in my locomotive. So I can move my train right here to the next rail. Then you have some options to do 1 action. One of those actions is, if I'm in a city, I can use my single and only action to put my train on the next rail. It's called put set in motion. In this case I wasn't, but that's 1 action that you could possibly do in your turn if you're in a city, is just get your train up on the rails in motion. Another thing you can do is you can draw rail cards. And again, at the beginning you can draw 2. I'll show you how you can upgrade these and get more than 2 later. Now, here we have 4 rail cards. There's always 4 face up on your turn, and I can take 2. So I will take this, and I will take this, and these do not refill until after my turn is up, unlike Ticket to Ride. They would then fill for the next player. So that's another thing you can do on your turn. Again, you're only getting 1 of these actions per turn, but another choice you have is just give yourself a boost and move 1 more rail. Another choice you have is to build rails, and you can do as many as you want with the cards that you have in your hands. Now the cards are kind of interesting in this game. If we see this dotted line here, they are blue, but for colorblind it's in a certain direction, and it has a certain amount of look to it, like a couple of dashed lines. That's these blue lines here on the board. And for every one of these I throw, I can put a train, I could put a rail on a blue line. Now, you have to build from one city to another city. So then here is an orange that also goes straight up and down. And I could do that because now I'm building from Springfield to Chicago, like that. If I was going somewhere else, I would have had to have gone the whole way. And you can do as many of these as you want, essentially. Now, since I've connected Chicago, I now get to get the money for connecting that commodity. And right now, the cows were worth $3. So I would get $3, but these move up like this, and now cows are only worth $1, but everything else has kind of moved up. If I had gotten wood, and it's a $2 thing, these would then fluctuate like this. So it's kind of a moving market. And so because I had gotten $3, I would move my score track up $3 on the board there. And another option you possibly have is upgrading your train. If it's the first time you're upgrading something, it's $3 to spend. You would move yourself down the track, the money track, which is the score track, and you would upgrade. And for example, if I wanted to move faster, I would spend $3 and I would upgrade from a 1 locomotive to a 2 locomotive. You can only upgrade one thing, one level per turn as your only action there. If in a future turn I wanted to upgrade from the 2 to a 3, it costs $5. It's $3 for the first upgrade, $5 for the next upgrade. So that's that. For the cards, you can upgrade, again, on future turns. You can upgrade the cards from 2. You would take that off and put this one here to 3. And the last one, you could take that off and give you 4 on a subsequent action. And you can actually carry more goods if you upgrade the cargo section. So in this case, I can only carry 1 cargo, but if later on I spend $3 to upgrade, my train gets bigger, and I can actually carry a second piece of cargo. So that's the last thing, is you can upgrade a train for a certain amount of money. Now when building track, you can use wilds as well. Let's say I want to go from Chicago to Lansing. It's 2 blacks. Well, there's many ways you can get there, but let's say 2 blacks and an orange. Well, what I can do is you can use as many as you want of cards of a different color, but they all have to be the same. So here's 3 blue cards. And anytime you do this, it can be as many cards as you want, but they all have to be the same color. You take the amount of cards here minus 1. So there's 2 of them. Now you'd throw all these away, but essentially this could be 2 of anything else. So I could use those 3 blue cards to get me 2 black, and then I could throw down my last orange to connect it to Lansing like that. And then again, we would score that commodity as we did before. So those would get discarded up here. Now, on future turns, let's say I go here and I'm moving. Because I have tracks that go through a city, if I don't want to stop in the city, I can skip over it and keep going. Now, when I do get to a city, I can either pick up and deliver stuff in this city. But in this case, one of my goods is Chicago that I'm pulling. So let's say I was in Chicago. I would take this, the cattle, and I would put it here. And now I pick that up and I'm trying to deliver it to one of these cities. And again, if I get not only the rail obviously has to get there, but my train, once my train gets into one of those cities, I can stop and sell it. And it depends on which city I'm in is how much money I would get on the score track. So let's say I did it all the way to Norfolk and I got $11. I would put this check mark there to know that that's what I did. Also, anywhere else where I have Norfolk, sometimes we like to put these little cancel items because I cannot deliver any other good to that. So now I cannot deliver cattle anywhere else. It's done. And I cannot go to Norfolk on any other card, but I would have made some money there. So those are pretty much all the actions you can take on your turn. A round ends as soon as these cards are emptied. So let's say we need to fill this. That was the last card. These, along with all the discarded cards, would get shuffled, and we would start a new round. So we would start the second round, the second train whistle. After we've gone through the entire deck again, we would shuffle those up. We would take all those rail cards and we would stack them into 2 equal decks, 50-50. And then we would take the third rail card, all 3 of these, we would shuffle them into one of these decks, which will be the bottom. And then anytime during the game, during the third round, if the single first whistle card comes up, which is just going to be anywhere in the bottom half of the deck, that will immediately end the game. And again, at the end of the game, we're going to score this secret goal card that you'll flip over your route to see how many you win. I talked about how it scores earlier in this thing, but you would score that, and then whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. All right, well, that is Spike. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know I love Ticket to Ride, and I'm always on the lookout for a game that plays in relatively the same same time, maybe a little more, but offers another level of complexity, and I think Spike does that. There's a lot more to think about here. You're not just putting rails and connecting cities. I mean, you're doing that with the rails, but that's essentially paving the way for your locomotive to then go there to pick up and deliver goods. And while you're doing the rails, you've got this little waiting game possibly with the timing of the market. You know, hey, I'm gonna go to this next city, it's only worth $1 right now. Maybe I'll wait because I see somebody else is about to connect a city that is in the same column as that one, and I'll wait so I can get some more money there. There's some little timing aspects there that's a pretty cool little nuance to the game. Now, this game, there's a lot of strategic decisions that get made before the game even starts. Now, some games that have a good amount of strategy to it, sometimes that strategy, you kind of think of what you're going to do at the beginning of the game, and then as the game goes on, you can kind of change your strategy and go around. I feel like this is one of those games where, like, once you've made your master plan at the beginning of the game, it's really hard to come up with another plan later that was going to be better for you. Because, you get the route card, you get your commodity cards. Oh, and by the way, these commodity cards, with 4 players, you're getting 3 of them at the beginning of the game. That's enough to look at. With 3 players, you're getting 4 of them. With 2 players, you're getting 6 of them. If you're sitting down to play this game for the first time and you're playing it with 2 players and you're looking at 6 commodity cards, you're looking at your route card, your brain might explode because you're just trying to put it all together as to wow, where should I go? Where should I start? Where should I end? And what should I pick up on the way? And whoa, there's tons of choices. So it's actually, maybe your first game's probably been best playing with 4 players, so you have a little less decisions to make. But you spend almost all your time at the beginning trying to devise your plan. And some people might not like that. I don't mind it, but if you like a strategy to kind of change throughout the game as the overall arc of the game, you might not like this as much. Or if you don't mind putting in the time at the beginning, really staring at things, staring at the board, and putting together your master plan, and then spending the whole game kind of delivering that plan, then this is probably something that you might like. Now, and it gets even crazier because once you know the game well, when you get those commodity cards, you can use either side strategically. You can choose which side of the commodity cards to use. And you get 2 route cards, and you get to select those. So whoa, after you even know the game better, it's still going to be brain burnery, but it's a little bit more strategic, a little bit less lucky on what you get at the beginning of the game. So I think there's a lot here. It's not like super complex, but it does add definitely another step up from Ticket to Ride for sure. And there's a lot to think about. Even though a lot of it is done at the beginning of the game, there are still some tactical decisions, like I said, during the game, like when to do the rails, when are you going to draw cards, when are you going to upgrade your train, what are you going to upgrade first. So there are those tactical decisions that get made along the way, but they're all following that arc that you made sort of at the beginning of the game. So overall, I think it's a good, solid train game with I'd say a tier 2, level 2 type of complexity. So check this one out if you like train games and you want to be more complex than Ticket to Ride, but still plays in around 60 minutes. That's a Spike from R&R Games.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.